Okay, I just wanted to kind of touch base with you all after the exam. Overall, I think we did pretty well. Some of y'all struggled. Some of y'all did very well on it. Some of the main issues I noticed were handling your prefixes. You're off. Some of y'all are off like 1 or 2 decimal places, so that means you're not quite putting it into your calculator correctly. And since everybody has different calculators, it's really hard for me to give an example because that may not be fair to everybody that doesn't have the type of calculator I use. But on a lot of calculators, you have an EE button, which I've talked about before, and that represents times 10, and then you just put in the power. And I think what might be happening with some of you all, you may be pressing that EE, and then you're doing times 10 again, which would, in theory, cause you to be 1 decimal off. I don't know. That's just the theory because I can't see what you're doing. It'd be great if you come by my office and I could show you, but some of y'all don't live in Lexington or can make it by my office and when I'm there. But that's one thing I think might be happening. But it's unfortunate because once you mess up one thing, many others are wrong. And without me seeing your work, I don't know what went on afterwards. So, I try to do the best I can to give you what I think you deserve based on your mistakes. But at any rate, just try to work on that. Now, you got 1 exam and a final left. The next exam, we cover more trigonometry. We cover exponentials and logarithms, and then we do number conversions. So watch the videos. I will do as I did last time. I'll try to get you out a law of sines, law of cosines example sometime this week coming up, and with the exponentials and logarithms as well, and the number conversions. So be looking out for them. But there are videos, there are examples in the class, so don't forget about those. They're just some of them aren't what I've created. And they may be better, who knows. So this is whatever you prefer. But you got to watch those. Now, law of sines, law of cosines are not for right triangles. So we do not use them for right triangles. So therefore, you cannot use Pythagorean theorem. It still works the same way when you're finding an angle or when you're given an angle. Things still work the same way as far as how you put in your calculator, but it's just a different method of finding sides and angles. They're not easy by any means, but they're not impossible. Law of cosines is a difficult formula. Involves good calculator skills. So, try to practice that as much as possible. And if you get stuck, let me know. So anyway, I'm going to get off here. Just wanted to kind of give you an update as we move along. And one last thing that I almost forgot was your final exam. It must be proctored. There is practice final exam. Some of y'all are real good about doing your practice exam. Some of y'all don't. And it shows sometimes. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But most part, when you do the practice exams, it helps prepare you. So, I suggest, and I do this to my in-class students, when you're preparing for your final exam, you need to prepare for it as you were taking it proctored, which means you should not be using your notes. Don't be a looker-backer. I made up that term last week. Don't constantly look back for your notes and see how to work this and how to work that. You can't do that when you're taking your proctored test. So it's a different setup. And sometimes that different setup causes students with a lot of anxiety because you don't have your book or notes with you. But that's just the way it has to be because it is timed and it is, what we want to see what you learned. So I'll get back with you on that. But I don't want you to waste your whole semester of work and by failing the final. So you really need to work on that final like as if you were taking the final exam. So anyway, let's look at the exam 3. That's the next one in front of us, and be looking out for my next video. Have a good one.